So whenever something is written or a passage given, in that passage actually you will be given those passages where there will be some argument. Without argument, there is just the factual information they would not give you. Ultimately they are going to ask you questions what the author wants to say or which argument the author supports. Something like that will be the question. Two of the sample questions are: which of the given option is an assumption made by the author? Which of the following can be inferred based on the passage? So you are going to get similar questions. So there will be always an argument in the passage. Without an argument, there will be hardly any passage. So this is the first thing which is important and which is required. Now, few of us know how to analyze or evaluate a passage with some argument. Here I told you that each and every passage which you will face in reading comprehension will talk about some argument. So we don't actually know how to analyze those passages which have some argument. To do so, you will need to learn the basic of logic. A basic understanding of logic is important if you want to score good marks in reading passages, because you will have to apply those concepts. You should be able to make proper logical conclusions, and that is why you will have this phrase, which of the following is a logical conclusion. This logical word is there in the question many a time. This is a part of logic. It developed in Greek, the science, or whatever you can say, the science of logic that developed in ancient Greek, and we have certain things defined like argument, statement, assumption, etc., and they follow certain rules. So that rules, if we know, then we can better perceive what the author wants to say, what points he wants to say, and which point is more stronger, which is less stronger. You will get a question like this: which is more sound argument, which is less sound argument. Now come to this, the science of good and bad reasoning. So what are these things which you have to understand? First, statements. The statements are also called assertions or premise. Some premise or some information will be given. Based upon that, some conclusion you will have to derive. Then you will have argument. The whole of paragraph will talk about something, will try to do something. There is a popular meme, "Arey कहना क्या चाहते हो?" So you have to keep that meme into your brain. So then again, you should be knowing types of argument indicators. Now what are these? What are argument indicators we are going to see today? What are conclusion indicators? What are premise indicators? Today we will see conclusion indicators, and tomorrow we will see premise indicators. Because the knowledge of these things, the knowledge of conclusion indicator and premise indicator, will help us identify conclusion and premise. And when we are able to identify these are the premises, these are the conclusion, and these are the assumptions, when we are able to do that, that is the whole thing we have to do, because the question will be like that only. What is the assumption made by the author? What is the conclusion made by the author? What does the author mean by saying this? Okay, so you have to keep this in mind. Whenever you read any article, you can read articles in the Hindu, in the Indian Express, or anywhere else. You have to keep in mind what is the statement, what is the premise, what is argument of this paragraph or this whole complete article, and then you have to look for the types of argument indicators. There are two types basically: conclusion indicator and premise indicators. Arguments and explanations, induction and deduction. So basically the logic part, as I said in the previously, that there is something called premise, there is a complete argument, there are hidden premise which are called assumption, and then you will have to apply the logic. There are two types of logic, inductive and deductive. That also we will see. We will proceed very slowly so that you should understand and assimilate everything, and then we will come to inference. Okay, so that we are going to understand. Then argument analysis, what the argument tries to say, what is a strong argument, what is a weak argument, that is called analysis. Then validity, soundness, cogency, these words are used in comprehension. Then argument with multiple premises. So basically you can have one or multiple premises You can have one or no assumption, you can have multiple assumptions as well, or you can have no assumption. Okay, because assumptions are nothing but hidden premise. Suppose everything is clear cut, then you don't need assumptions. So that we will see everything. So let us read this. The motive of a passage is to put forward some facts or delve into some argument. Actually, the author, when he writes something, he wants you to prove his point. Okay, and what is his point? Only factual paragraph will not be there. If the paragraph is factual, that is very easy. You can answer. Anybody of class 6 also, he can answer the factual statement. Who was the king of this country and all. That anybody can answer. But they are looking for what? They are delving into some argument. That is important. Some discussion, some point they want to prove. The arguments are strengthened in various ways. So as I said, those arguments are kept forward in the form of premises. And those premises can be stronger, can not be stronger, can be weaker. There can be various things that we are going to see when we will discuss deductive and inductive reasoning. A reader applies deductive or inductive reasonings based on some premise and assumption. So premise and assumptions are very similar. Premise means some assertion, some fact, and assumption means which has not been written but you can guess. It is hidden premise. To draw a logical conclusion. They are not just saying conclusion, logical conclusion. So you have to apply a bit of logic here. When someone tries to persuade you to believe something, so actually what the author is trying to persuade you. When someone is trying to persuade you to believe something, when a paragraph is written, there is a motive of the author. The motive is he or she wants to put forward his views and want to convince you that you should agree to her or him. So when someone is trying to persuade you to believe something, they will give you reasons, they will validate their facts. So they will give you some reasons in support of their views. Those reasons will also be expressed as statements. And what is a statement? They are premise basically. They are also called premise. So those reasons will be kept forward in ways of premise. Based upon that premise, you will conclude something. Together, all those statements, that is premises and a few assumptions together are called an argument. Now come to this, what it says. An argument is a sequence of two or more phrases, clauses, sentences or statements which includes a claim. They want to make a claim or a conclusion. This conclusion is arrived. After reading the whole paragraph, you will arrive at a conclusion. This conclusion is arrived at with the help of one or more than one statement, which may be called premise or proposition, okay, which will validate or support that thing. In addition, the argument also takes the help of some hidden premise, which may be called assumptions. The following two examples will illustrate the concept. The first example is this. The ground was slippery. It must have been raining. So what is the premise here and what is the conclusion? Can anybody guess? Can anybody guess what is the premise? The ground was slippery. Yeah. No, it must be raining is not an assumption, it's an conclusion. You are drawing a conclusion because you are making out some thing out of it, out of statement first. So that is why it is conclusion. The ground was slippery, that is a fact, and whatever a fact or a statement is called premise. It must be, when you are sure, you are using must, it must be raining. So you are almost sure thing which was happening. That means you are drawing a conclusion. You are making a judgment. Okay, as we say, don't judge people without knowing the fact. But without knowing the fact, he or she is making a conclusion, judging. In doing that, he is making an assumption. What assumption is that? The assumption is ground becomes slippery only when it rains. This is the middle link which connects the premise to the conclusion. As you can read in the foregoing example, the argument proposed a conclusion: it must have been raining. This conclusion is arrived at with the help of supporting evidences or premise that the ground was slippery. The conclusion and the premise are connected by an assumption which is not written here, which is hidden, that the ground must become slippery only when it rains. So thus a careful post-mortem leads to the following breakup of its constituents. What are they? First one is premise. What is that? The ground was slippery. Now the premise is the ground was slippery. Now we are making an assumption. The ground becomes slippery only when it rains. And that is why we are drawing this conclusion: it must have been raining. Now there is nothing which can be added to this. So this three things are complete logical end, you can say. The ground was slippery, the ground becomes slippery only when it rains, and that is why it must be raining. The foregoing example brings before us the basic characteristic of argument. So all these three, premise, assumptions and conclusion, constitute what is called as argument. But it leaves some doubt that we will see. Can the number of premise necessarily be one? No. Here you have one premise, but you can have multiple premises. Is the assumption always present? No. There can be assumption, there cannot be assumption. For example, assumption is a hidden premise, so if the argument is complete, then there will be no assumptions. For example, premise 1 says Ram plays if Shyam plays. Premise 2 says Shyam plays if Radha plays. C says the conclusion part: Ram plays when Radha plays. So is there any missing link or hidden premise? No. Everything is crystal clear. Okay. So this is an example of syllogism. Okay. If this happens, that happens, something else happens. So something else will happen when the first thing will happen. So there is no hidden premise. So there is no assumption. Now just follow this or make a picture of this. You will have multiple or one or more premises. Then you will have some hidden premises which are called assumptions, and then you will draw your logical conclusion, and then the final conclusion, whatever the conclusion will be. There can be hidden premises also. For example, here we saw one example: the ground was slippery, it must have been raining. So the author has written the complete sentence. The ground was slippery is also written by author, and the conclusion which was made was also done by author. It must have been raining. It is not us who are drawing the conclusion. Okay, it is also done by the author. So when he is doing both the things, he is first coming up with some premise and then a conclusion. So is there something missing? Yes, there is something missing. The ground can be slippery because of suppose someone has thrown oil on the ground. So that can be another reason, because the ground can be slippery, but he is making an assumption. The ground becomes slippery only when it rains. He is drawing an assumption, he is making an assumption the ground becomes slippery only when it rains. And then we can say, when we will add this assumption in between, a premise the ground was slippery, and then a hidden premise we will add, then the conclusion will make complete sense. So this is the basic thing. Now we saw that there can be multiple premises, multiple assumptions, and then we will have to apply logic on the conclusion. A typical passage usually places its conclusion at the end. Generally what you have the conclusion at the end, but this may not be true in many cases. It might happen the passage may start with a conclusion. Okay, depending upon the style of the author, the conclusion can be found in the middle or even in very beginning of the passage. This is illustrated by the following example. So can anybody read this example? Okay, so what is the main wish or main argument of the author which she tries to prove or advocate? See, Doordarshan should give a priority based concessional advertisement for yoga training. This was the thing she was trying to say. But she made up a story just to convince you, because you will not agree. So she made up a story. A daily program of yoga is believed to increase the average life expectancy and reduce stress of a common individual. She is informing you. इससे ये फायदा होता है, इसलिए आप ऐसा करो. So basically she was trying to say आप ऐसा करो, you should do this. But because you will not listen, she was convincing you by two premises. The first premise was the first sentence, which can be further divided into several premises. A daily program of yoga is believed to increase the average life expectancy. First one, reduce stress of common individuals. Second one, yet people who want to make yoga a part of their lives are hampered by lack of adequate information and training. So there is lack of information and training. So yoga is beneficial, but there is lack of information and training. That is why Doordarshan should give a priority based concessional advertisement for yoga training center. This was the whole story she was trying to say. So the conclusion here is, therefore Doordarshan should come up with that. Okay, now second one, anybody else can read. So here you have the conclusion part, or whatever fact she or whatever argument she wants to make, she has stated straight away. Doordarshan, she is giving an order. Doordarshan should give a priority based concessional advertisement for yoga training center. And then she is speaking or telling us why. Because a daily program of yoga is believed to increase the average life expectancy and reduce stress of common individual. Yet people who want to make yoga a part of their life, people are ready to make yoga their part of their life, are hampered by lack of adequate information about yoga training center. So there is second issue, lack of information. That is also a premise. The conclusion here is at first that so Doordarshan should give a priority based concessional advertisement for yoga training center. So the difference is there the conclusion is drawn after citing you premises, and here first we are citing the conclusion and then we are drawing the premises. Now third one, anybody else can read. Okay, pause here. So this sentence, a daily program of yoga is believed to increase the average life expectancy and reduce the stress of a common individual. What is this statement? This is an assertion. This particular fact is an assertion, a factual information you can say. Okay, so Garima, continue. Okay, so here the middle part, Doordarshan should give a priority based concessional advertisement for yoga training center, is not an assertion. It is not a fact. It is a request. Okay, it is the thing which the author tries to advise, you can say advise, request, order, or what the author wishes to have. So what argument? The argument of author is this only. The argument can be advice, the argument can be order. See, first has not come first, and second is her main motive. This is a good word. See, what is the main motive of this whole paragraph? वो कहना क्या चाहता है? I told you that meme. Remember that meme. That is very important. कि कहना क्या चाहता है? So वो कहना ये चाहता है कि Doordarshan should give a priority based concessional advertisement for yoga training centers. अब इसको कहने के लिए वो जलेबी बना रहा है. पहला जलेबी हो गया कि यार डेली प्रोग्राम से फायदा होता है, दूसरा हो गया कि lack of information है. So this is the main thing. So I will explain that only. So what is the main motive of author? In the complete paragraph, when you will read the complete paragraph, then you will find that the main motive of author is to convince you that Doordarshan should give a priority based concessional advertisement for yoga training center. This is the main motive, and to validate that he is coming out with two facts: that yoga is beneficial, that there is lack of awareness about yoga. So those are two factual information, that yoga is beneficial and there is lack of awareness about yoga. His wish, his advice, his main point is that Doordarshan should give a priority based concessional advertisement for yoga training center. Is that clear? So we saw in the first example that conclusion, this is called conclusion, Doordarshan wala thing. That comes at the end in the first example. That comes at the beginning in the second example. And that comes in between in the third example. So the conclusion can come anywhere. So see what you have to do while reading comprehension. You just have to identify what are premises, what are assumptions, and what are conclusion. If you have this, if you will develop this habit of identifying these, whatever you read the Hindu article, you read whatever, if you will develop this habit, automatically your reading comprehension will improve. Okay, now we are going to see next also, then you will get to understand. So this example illustrates how the same thing could be rewritten in different ways. If you go by thumb rule that a conclusion always appears at the end of passage, you will get different conclusion from the different formats of the same passage. In format 1, the conclusion appears at the end. The first two lines provide a premise. Okay, they were information, statements, they were premise. A case is made out therein for the need of publicity of yoga training center. So actually he wanted to make a point that yoga training center should be publicized through Doordarshan. Then is placed the conclusion which says Doordarshan should provide a concessional and priority based advertisement for yoga training centers. But in format 2, the conclusion appears first and the supporting premises appears later. In format 3, the conclusion appears in the middle. Now what we have to do in reading comprehension, basically we have to identify. What we have to identify? We have to identify premises or propositions. Which of the following sentences fall in premises or propositions? Okay, then what we have to identify? We have to identify what are some assumptions made by the author. As we saw in the beginning that this year only there was a question in test. What are some assumptions made by the author? So that particular thing which is not factually given but he has assumed. For example, the floor was slippery, it must be raining. The floor can be slippery because of n number of reasons, but he has assumed that when the rain, the floor becomes slippery only when the rainfall happens, and that is why he is making a conclusion. So assumption you will have to identify, and it is not that easy, it is difficult. Then the third one is understand the logic of argument, which is quite easy here. You don't have to use that much brain in this part. Then the conclusion. So basically I can say forget the third part, come to the fourth part. You have to identify the premises, the assumption and the conclusion. This is the whole soul of comprehension reading or reading comprehension. No, there is an assumption now. He is assuming that the floor was slippery because of rain. No one is telling him. He himself has assumed because of rain it must be raining. That is why the floor is slippery. The floor can be slippery because it might happen that somebody would have thrown oil over it. There can be n number of reasons, but he has assumed a particular reason. So that is assumption. So we will spend some time. We will go very slowly and we will spend some time in identifying just the conclusion, identifying just the assumptions, identifying just the premises, and then when we will read the complete passage, then we will come to know what is premise, what is that. Okay, so first we will focus upon the conclusion. The conclusion we have to identify. We have to identify the conclusion. It is also called inference. if you remember this particular meme, then remember this. What are you trying to say? Ask this question, and whatever answer you get to that question, that is your conclusion. Actually, what you are trying to prove, what you are trying to say, that will be the question, and whatever will come as an answer to that, that will be your conclusion or inference. The second way out is identify signals for the conclusion. This is quite interesting. Identify signals for the conclusion, and those signals are called conclusion indicators, which we saw initially. There are premise indicators also that we will discuss in next class. Those are called conclusion indicators. A conclusion indicator is a word or phrase that indicates that the statement it is attached to, it is attached to is the conclusion. Typically, the conclusion indicator immediately precedes the conclusion. It will be just before the conclusion, but occasionally they will be found in middle and sometimes even at the end. One test of whether a word or a phrase is a conclusion indicator or not is if it is a synonym of therefore. If it is a synonym of therefore, that is a conclusion indicator. So if a passage makes sense when you substitute therefore for a word or phrase, then that word or phrase is probably conclusion indicator. For example, conclusion indicators. Therefore, see the passage we saw, therefore was a conclusion indicator there. Here we saw this one. A daily program, everything. A daily program for yoga is believed to increase average life expectancy, and then we saw yet people who want to make yoga a part of their life are hampered by lack of adequate information about yoga training center. Therefore, here you have this therefore. So whatever will follow therefore, that will be your conclusion. Here therefore is conclusion indicator. This is one type of conclusion indicator. Then what are the other types? Hence. Whenever there will be hence, that means it is a conclusion indicator. The other example is thus. The other example can be so, accordingly, consequently. It follows that, for this reason, for these reasons. We may conclude that, in consequence, as a result, which proves that, which means that, which implies that, which entails that, which shows that. So it is quite easy. Just go through this particular thing, and whenever you read a particular article, either of the Hindu or any other articles you come across, try to find out these words. Try to do two exercises. First, try to ask this question: what the author is trying to convey. Whatever he is trying to convey, see, you should spend 1 week. 1 week you can spend just on finding conclusion. Whatever article you are going to read, just ask one question: what the author is trying to say. The other thing you have to do is you have to find these words or those phrases or words which can replace therefore. That will be your conclusion. So if you will do this exercise, it will take some time, but automatically you will develop a reading habit, proper reading habit, and this reading passages will become very easy for you. So now we are going to do just that. We are going to find out conclusion. So anybody can answer, they can write. You can write in the comment. Come to the first statement. No man will take counsel. No man will take your advice, counsel, but every man will take money. Therefore, money is better than counsel. What do you call it? Money is better than counsel is the conclusion. Money is better than is the conclusion. So this one is the conclusion. Now come to second one. Books are not listed in index, nor are any references to other books or articles that appear in book. Thus, if you write books, you are automatically excluded from the index. Yeah, if you write books, you are automatically excluded from the index. This complete sentence is the conclusion, because you have thus there, and before we had therefore. So therefore and thus are what? Conclusion indicator. So whenever you read or go through any article in the Hindu or at whatever, the Indian Express, wherever, look for these words, therefore, thus. They will tell you what is the conclusion. Now the last sentence. Okay, it says most species retain sexual reproduction despite its seeming inefficiency. It follows that it must provide advantage. Tell me the conclusion indicator here. Yeah, it follows that is, so whatever will replace therefore will become conclusion indicator. Okay, so it is quite so easy it is, but you will have to read passages and practice this. And once you will practice this with a lot of articles, automatically you will develop a habit of gaining all the information, which part is premise, which part is conclusion, and which part is assumption. So this was all for today. In our next class, that is tomorrow, we will focus upon what? Upon this premise.